Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I am joined by one half of your PWA Tag Team Champions, Shay Kassidy. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I am so good to be talking with you ahead of probably the most chaotic PWA event coming up with the King of the Metro. Obviously, we have the big 30-person Rumble, but you will also be defending the PWA Tag Team Championships there. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I first want to go back to your crowning moment back in February, I believe it was. You know, you're no stranger to Tag Team Gold, but it is the first time in PWA. Obviously, there was a little bit of chaos in that match with Kingsley, Bell Pierce, Aaron Jake, yourself, Everett Connors, all these playing parts. But in the end, you and Everett won the PWA Tag Team Championship. So take us back to that moment. How did it feel winning those titles and some takeaways from the match itself?
That was a very special day. I was actually like quite, I wasn't as stressed as I normally usually am for
Yeah.
shows, which is really strange for me. But I was just like, okay, need to make sure we get like a plan, to make sure we're all good. Um, and like while this was all happening, I had a lot of people be like kind of like whispering behind my back, and I wasn't sure what was going on. So turns out like 10 minutes before the show starts, which we're the first match, like
Yeah.
maybe like 15. So like very we are like about to go on. And I get pulled aside and and then I walk kind of out to like a little hallway area and I see my brother and my mum who had driven all the way to Sydney to watch the match.
Yeah.
And I remember I was ready to go, I had my makeup on, I saw them and went, and I had to stop myself from crying. I had to lock
Yeah.
back in. I had
Yeah.
to that was a very, very special thing. So that was really, really memorable. We also did we did our little version of It's Raining Men because it
Yeah.
was the drag race or tag race
Yeah.
show that we did, and that was so fun. That was incredibly like it was genuinely like that was our first kind of entrance we did where we were like, oh, we need to keep doing fun things like this because we usually come out to the Backslide Girls theme song,
Mhm.
but this was like, oh, okay, have something really fun with these kind of like songs. But the actual like moment itself, winning them, is like very slow motion for me, and I think a lot of people around me will always be like, you got to take it in. You got to really like take in the moments. And I think that was like, because it was very much like Belle, Speed, AJ.
Mhm.
And then there was that moment that we were just sitting in. It felt like forever. I was sitting in the ring, like, and I was looking at like the audience and I was looking back and forth. And then she walks out, and then AJ gets up, and then we kick him and then backslide. And it was just a whole it was just like this slow motion moment, but then once we were like standing there with the titles up, it was just like it was so surreal. So surreal.
Yeah, and you mentioned the show itself was pretty special. I'm sure you may not be aware. Obviously, it was PWA Tag Race celebrating the LGBTQ community and the talent and company. You may already
Yeah.
know this. In winning the titles, you became the first and only out LGBTQ wrestler to hold a PWA title in the promotion's entire 21-year history. So how does that kind of feel to you making history in PWA? Tell us about the significance of that.
I really I didn't know until I saw an article that said that. And I looked at it and went like really? Like I was very just very taken aback by it, but I thought that was just a very like special thing that is kind of just like mine to keep
Yeah.
and mine to have. And like I'm the first, and I won't just ever be the only, especially now because Charli Evans holds the PWA Heavyweight Championship. So now
Yes.
there's
Yes.
two queer championship holders, and I think that's very really wonderful. But it wasn't because we were queer. We just
Yeah.
happened to be queer. So I think that's really special. I thought, yeah, seeing the article, I was so just taken aback, but I was like, I just felt so like warmed by it because I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But like, I don't know. I think it's just really special for that to be the case.
Yeah, I think the Backslide Girls act in and of itself is really special too as well because you're combine we were talking a little bit about this last time. You're combining music and dance. You mentioned obviously like It's Raining Men that you guys did. It most of the time I would say it's Kingsley busting out her moves. You're doing all the dancing and like backup singing too as well. I saw you do like some cartwheels and stuff. Obviously that's a little bit, maybe a little bit changed or going to change a little bit because we've had a little bit of a change in the group dynamic itself. Kingsley is now moved my way, 2 hours from me. She's mine now. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Um, she has moved to Toronto, leaving you and Everett Connors still PWA tag team champs, but I have to imagine it's a little bit of a different dynamic for you. So how has that been adjusting for you as kind of a trio? I mean, granted, you're tag team champs, you work as a technically a duo itself, but like this, you guys are a trio normally. So how has that dynamic been trying to adjust to that?
I mean, I think it was very like, especially because the night before she left, we tagged together, me and
Yeah.
her, and we defended the tag titles
Hmm.
together, the PWA tag titles. And I think kind of having that last night and really trying to really take it all in, I think was really. I think just like I think it's the first time that I've ever had a very close friend like move, far away.
Hmm.
And so it was really something I never experienced before, and I didn't know how to, I guess, prepare for it. So then when she left, I was like, because I saw her off at the airport, and
Yeah.
I was like, ah. She's gone. I'm not gonna see her. Like I'm not gonna see her every single week or every single show, and I won't get to tag with her at PWA for the foreseeable future. I do think, however, the Backslide Girls will always be a trio, no
Yeah.
matter wherever, whoever is wherever in the world, wherever it is. If Kingsley's in Canada and me and Everett are in Australia, it's always going to be a trio. So she's always a backside girl.
Of
She'll never
course.
not be a backside girl.
Of course. She's always got the moves and the voice. She'll just be lending it to Canada now is all it is. Maybe you can phone her in via satellite as they used to do back in the day.
Maybe that's
Maybe.
an idea.
Or a
Toronto, they're
hologram.
lucky buggers.
You know what? They do hologram concerts. You hologram Kingsley in.
Oh, I could pay for that. I'd have to say, but I could definitely get that. I'm sure she'll be fine with
Yeah. You mentioned
it.
the last show that you guys did. Is that where you guys wore the camo gear? I think it was. Was
Yeah.
was there a particular like inspo or like reasoning or symbolism behind the camo gear that night? I'm so curious because it was like out of the ordinary for you guys. You're normally wearing like bright red or like these bright colors, and camo is kind of out of the ordinary for you guys.
It honestly, me, like in our group chat, me, Everett, and Kingsley, we were talking and we were like, okay, what should we wear?
Hmm.
And Kingsley was like, you know what? I want to wear camo. I wanna just wear some camo. It'll just be the vibe. It'll be so good. We'll look amazing. And I was like, it's your last match. You do whatever you want, baby girl. You pick whatever you want, and I will follow suit. Um, and so we just went and found some like pieces, put them together. She had these like sick jorts. I had this like skirt and everything, like
Yeah,
this like black like body harness thing. And Everett was like wearing his cool baggy pants and like a jumper. And it was such a good look. It was such a good look. Um, but yeah, I do want to get like proper. camo gear made in the future. Don't know when that'll be, but I think it's just such a good look for the time. And it was just, I don't know, it's very special. It was just very special for that specific instance.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of out of your realm, but that's good too to have some tricks up your sleeve, you know. I'm curious too with the act itself. I was mentioning Kingsley does a lot of like solo singing and you're dancing, doing cartwheels. How does her absence or not being in Australia affect the Backslide Girls as an act? Does that mean we'll be seeing you bust out more solo singing?
Well, I will admit I have been practicing. I have been warming my vocal cords up. So at the Metro, you might just see a little bit of me singing, a little bit maybe of Everett singing. We'll see. But yeah, I think we we work as a trio or we work as a duo, I think.
Yeah.
So there will be a piece missing, but it's we are able to rebuild and move forward.
Yeah, you're versatile. That's what you're
Versatile.
saying. I'm curious, tell me more about your friendship with Everett Connors. Obviously, he has that connection to Charli Evans, who you're also good friends with. But what was your first impression or first memories with Everett Connors?
Oh, my first memory of Everett was actually, it was so long before we started tagging because it was after Charlie had gone to the States for
Yeah,
for them to actually
GCW.
meet.
Yeah.
Um, for them to meet. And then they were like there for a couple months and I was at training and I was at Newcastle. Like this was a long time ago. And I remember I like was near the ring and I turned around and they were walking into the door and I was like, "Oh my God, like he's here. Oh my goodness." Um, because I've only ever heard good things about him at this
Yeah.
point. So I was like I introduced myself and he was just the loveliest person. I don't think you could ever find anyone that would ever have like a single bad thing to say about him because he is such a kind, he's a gem of a person.
Hmm.
And I remember um, like at shows and stuff, he's just always very sweet and everything. And then just getting to team with him, it's just so much fun. I think it's the best. He's so just like accommodating. And I'll be like, what about this idea? And he's like, I love it. Let's do it. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Like he gets so hyped for ideas and that makes me
Hmm.
more hyped. So it's just we bounce off each other very well and I think we have it's just a very good time. I haven't tagged with him nearly as much as I've tagged with Kingsley, but oh my goodness, he is just the best.
Yeah, sounds like a girl's girl, obviously. You got to have
Hell
that too,
yeah.
that energy too to bounce off of each other's and ideas. Sometimes you need that hype friend too as well. Even
Mm.
if not saying that yours are bad, but like even in the good and the bad ideas and all of that. Not saying that yours are bad again, but like you need that friend that'll always like
Oh yeah.
hype you up. And Everett sounds like that.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. Absolutely. No, he's the best.
You mentioned not obviously tagging with him a lot. Well, you will be at PWA King of the Metro. The Backside Girls will be defending the titles against the Velocities, Jude London and Paris De Silva. Obviously, you're no stranger to both of them. But this is kind of, I feel like one of your first big, title defenses and all of that, especially on King of the Metro, dare I say, maybe show of the year besides Coliseum. So it's a big stage. How are you feeling heading into this match?
I am very excited. I've never wrestled the velocities as a tag,
Yeah.
which I think is going to be so interesting. Um, because obviously they've tagged countless amount of times, and me and Everett have tagged maybe like a handful of times. So we're very
Hmm.
much at a disadvantage there, but we are coming in as the champions. So it is kind of like we're kind of the big dogs. So,
Hmm.
but not to underestimate them at all because they are literally like the best tag team in the country, if not in the conversation. Um, But yeah, I'm very excited for that. I've wrestled Paris like in a singles before, and that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that. And so I'm very much looking forward to high stakes, biggest show, title match. What's going to happen? I'm very excited.
It's gonna be a heavy hitting card, very stacked too. You mentioned Charli Evans. I believe this is her first big title defense since beating Jessica Troy back in April for the PWA Heavyweight Championship. She'll be taking on Kai Drake and defending that. I was listening to you over at our good friends at Grapple Theory. Obviously, you and Kingsley had some words about Charli Evans's kind of turn on Jessica Troy. What are your thoughts on her becoming PWA heavyweight champion?
I mean, I watched I mean I was there. I watched it, and it like the way it happened, look, I very much wasn't a fan. I don't really love the way that Charlie's gone about things in recent history. Um, but it is what it is. She won the heavyweight championship. Good for her. Now she's defending it in her first defense against Kai Drake, which I think I've seen those two wrestle before a few times actually. I was actually I managed Charlie, and one time they wrestled each other in Newcastle, very like 2020,
Hmm.
2021. Um, and that was like really I really enjoyed that match, and I think that if that's if any of their recent matches have anything to say about what this one will be, it'll be incredibly, and there's going to be marks. There's going to be marks made. Absolutely.
I bel
Absolutely.
I believe it, and she does have North Shore Wrestling kind of in her pocket. You never know when they'll show up, but technically, I mean, she could retain by DQ or whatever, but like this is her. I feel like maybe she want to prove herself as champion. We'll see what happens, obviously, but
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
excited, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, North Shore Wrestling is going to be there most likely, but we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, they're in
Um,
the Rumble, so no
yeah,
doubt.
we'll talk about that because we also have the King of the Metro Rumble, which Charlie won last year. The winner earns a PWA championship opportunity of their choosing. Obviously, we have North Shore Wrestling confirmed, Jessica Troy, Jack Bonza, the Tuckman, Rita Stone, and a lot more, and a lot of surprise entrants. Theoretically, depending where you're wrestling, you could retain the titles and then enter this potentially. We don't know. There's a lot of open spots left. But let's just assume that you weren't. What is your winner prediction for the King of the Metro?
Oh, see, I've been thinking about this ever
Hmm.
since people have started getting announced.
Yeah,
I can't go off everyone because I don't know everyone, but
true.
I think there's a couple that stick out to me a lot. I think Jess could be a very high contender. Obviously, I know she's coming off like losing the championship, but
Yeah.
I think that has given her probably the biggest chip on her shoulder to come back and to win. And I would assume she would be going after Charlie for the title if Charlie's still champion after the show. But I also think the Tuck Man. I think Tucky very much could win this as well because I think he's
From
had
number one. He's
from number
entering at
one.
number one.
Yeah, look, from number one, but I think he's got a fire under him, and I think he could. I think if anyone could do it from number one, I think it could be. I think it could be him. But there's also, yeah, there's a few. Like Ben Braxton's another one.
Yeah.
Ben Braxton's another I look at and go, yeah, like he's obviously had a chip on his shoulder for ages now because of, wanting to be in Coliseum and not being in it last year. And obviously he's got a lot that he feels he has to prove. So it's like I feel I don't know out of those three who I would definitely go. Maybe Jess. Maybe I like maybe my number one's Jess because I love Jess. and I want her to win and be successful.
And we want that potential rematch for the heavyweight championship. I have to imagine she's keen on getting that back, but that's going to be a tall task. But she's faced taller tasks, Coliseum in and of itself. She won as champion. So,
Yeah.
King of the Metro, you got this, Jess.
Child's play, surely.
I'm so curious. You've had a long journey in PWA. You're holding championship gold. You've ascended and risen through the ranks the last couple of years, so much so that you were voted PWA Most Improved Wrestler of 2024. So congratulations. I know it's like 6 months. We're 6 months past that now, but that's a big accomplishment too. And I feel like it's already proven by, you're holding championship gold. So what big improvements did you see in yourself in 2024 that you think earned you that title?
I feel like I think it's so different viewing yourself from the key and then other people viewing you
Yeah,
from the outside. I feel like I personally, I think I got better with like talking and like promos
yeah.
because I decided like early April I was like I need to start doing these because if I don't do them, I will not know how to speak and I'll shoot myself in the foot by doing that.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay, I need to start doing these. And I look back at the ones from like early last year and I cringe because I'm like, hi, I sound like this and I sound really high pitched. And I'm like, I don't like that. I think another thing is I think genuinely my confidence just kind of skyrocketed. And I don't even know, I can't even tell you where that happened. It just happened. And I think with that, then kind of when my natural like my general confidence grew, so then my confidence in my speaking and then my confidence in my wrestling grew. So then I kind of felt like I just appeared better at the things that I maybe not like wasn't as confident about before. But I think a main thing is my character. I think that was probably where I improved the most.
Yeah, and you can definitely, when you're talking about this last, and you can definitely see maybe you're naturally a little bit quieter, more introverted, but you had that extroversion brought out in you. And especially now, you kind of have no choice but to bring that out. And sometimes you need to be pushed outside your comfort zone, and you're
Oh yeah.
definitely in that right now. And I'm looking forward to see what you and Everett bring to the table as kind of a duo now, your act and also wrestling together. That's going to be a big part of it. But you got this. You're up for the
Yeah,
challenge. You got this, girl.
absolutely. I feel like I have been just like been growing and growing and eventually I'm just gonna flourish. I'm just gonna flourish. That's what I'm gonna do. As a duo, as a trio, as a singles, I'm just gonna flourish.
Absolutely. Wrestling aside though, you recently had an exciting adventure over in Japan. I saw some photos. I saw you saw some sumo wrestlers, ate some good food, it seemed like. Tell us about your recent trip to Japan. What sights did you see? What else did you do?
Ah, it was the best. Honestly, I like had this trip booked since last July
Hmm.
and I was like just counting down the days. I had a countdown on my phone that was legit like it started at
Yeah.
like 260 something days.
Oh, wow.
And it was the most exciting thing because I've never flown overseas before. So it was very new for me. Very, very completely something I've never done before. Um, it was such a fun experience though, because I do want to go to Japan for like wrestling and stuff like that. So I think it was really good to kind of dip my feet in, and get a little bit of like a taste of what it is, what the culture is, like the language and everything like that. It was genuinely such an incredible time though. It was like 2.5 weeks I was there, and the first night I got in, I I went to this ramen place because I was like, I
Yeah.
have to. This is the one thing I need to have right now. And it was so good. It was genuinely the best ramen I've ever had. Um, and like their takoyaki balls, I think that's how you pronounce it, takoyaki. That was really good. The octopus balls, they were so good. And like everything was incredible. All the stuff over there, like all the food over there was very, very good. And the sumo wrestling, oh my God, it was the best thing I've ever seen. I was legit, I was like, oh, I was like half and half about it because I was like, I don't know how this is. Because in my head, I was like, oh, it's gonna be really serious. Like, it's gonna be super serious. They're gonna do like a few rounds and that's gonna be it.
Hmm.
They did like, they did, you got these food trays when you sat down. And like once you ate, you could order more and it'd be like no charge. So it was like basically all you can eat. And then they came in and they were just like the MC and then the two sumo wrestlers and they came in and they were just like they did these bits on like this is what you shouldn't do in a sumo match. And then they would demonstrate the things you shouldn't
Yeah.
do. And it was so funny. It was the best. I left that. I think we were there for like 2 hours. Like it was like 2 hours in total. It was like a
Mm-hmm.
wrestling show. I felt so just like I was like, this is the best thing this is the best thing we've done all trip. It was so fun. Also, Universal Studios, that was so fun.
I
Never
can
been to
imagine.
the only theme parks I've been to are like the ones in Queensland here, like New Movie Worlds. Actually, I've
Yeah.
only been to Movie World. Um, but yeah, going to that, oh my God, was a completely different world. Harry Potter World. Oh, I was obsessed.
Ooh.
Went there first in the day, and I was like, I don't want to leave. I want to stay because it just looks so cool and like it just looks so like incredibly put together, and it was just so awesome. And then like Super Mario World was incredible, and that was a lot of fun. We went and watched this like water show as well, which was so cool. Like they had this whole setup and it was like all this like it was a whole set and they had the
Hmm.
water and so they were coming in with jet skis and they were like having like
Oh,
explosions happening and that was like an hour long show and that was really fun. So that day that was like I think those were my two favorite things was the sumo wrestling and the Universal Studios.
sounds
Those
like a
were
lot of
like my
fun.
it was so much fun. Genuine. It was like we. It was like every day I was like having a bit of a pinch me moment because
Hmm.
it felt like just walking through, and I was like, I'm in Japan. I'm
Hmm.
in Japan right now. This is whack. This is crazy. What am I doing? But yeah, no, it was the best time, and I got hooked on plum wine. I
Oh.
got hooked on plum wine. Thank you, Robbie Eagles. That was very kind of you. But yes, plum wine is mwah, my
Oh, did you
favorite
see
now.
him there or did he recommend that to you?
Yeah, no, we saw him there when he was on his the Best of Super Juniors tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him wrestle twice, which was really, really fun. I think it's like really cool when you get to see like people you know wrestle in a completely different country. I think that
Yeah.
was really exciting. Um, so that was really fun. That was a really, really good time. But yeah, Japan was crazy. It was like it went so slow, but it went so quickly at the same time. And it
Yeah.
was just like every day felt so slow, but by the time we got to the last day, I was like, this feels like it went so quick.
Hmm.
But it was the best and so cheap. So cheap. Love
Well,
that. I
that's
love
good. We
that.
love that. So it sounds like it was a mainly a vacation, but of course you're always going to mix in some wrestling, of course. Sumo
Oh yeah.
wrestling and New Japan.
Yeah.
How was it watching? I mean, I don't know. I have to imagine this was your first time watching a New Japan show in person. So how was that experience too as well? Like watching wrestling. I've heard the crowds are at least in comparison to America, I heard the crowds are a lot different too.
Yeah. It was actually the crowds were more active than I thought because I feel when you're watching on TV, you
Yeah.
don't really hear a lot of the crowd as opposed to when you're at a show.
Hmm.
Um, and so in my head, I was kind of expecting it to, they like the wrestlers do something and like the audience will clap. But the audience was really interactive and reacting verbally to things
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Like they were really, both times I went, because I went on two separate days, they were genuinely, they were reacting really well. And it was like, it was really good to be a part of that crowd because it felt like it wasn't like people yelling out anything crazy or anything like that. It was really nice and respectful, and I really enjoyed watching um that. Like the wrestling was great as well. Like both days of wrestling was so good. Um I think because they were like, obviously you wrestle a lot in that tournament. I think they were
Yeah.
having, a lot more fun with what they were doing. And so you could
Hmm.
tell that they were doing that, and then you'd have more fun as the audience. So that was really good. I really enjoyed it from the wrestling aspect and like watching like the crowd aspect as well. They were both really great.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned Robbie. He is the sole PWA champion. He will be defending that title against Michael Spencer at PWA King of the Metro. Kudos to him. He's always in between Japan, the Australia. I saw him last year here in the States. He's basically just
Mm,
everywhere. So like,
yeah.
and I imagine though that the Backslide Girls are wanting to continue their world tour as well. So like, where do you hope your next stop is on the Backslide Girls World Tour?
Oh, I mean, nothing is locked in, but I think an obvious one would be Canada.
Yeah, of
Not for as long as Kingsley, but I think is like
course. Yeah.
hey, how are you? Hey, what's up?
Hmm.
Um, I think being around her in Canada would be great. I think that'd be fun. I definitely want to give the States a go. I've never been, and I've always wanted to, because that's like the main, you know, the most popular, I guess,
Yeah.
wrestling destination, really. So I think that's always like America and Canada, and they're quite close, like they're one and the same, really.
Yes.
So I think that would be really good. Definitely back to Japan for wrestling, for
Hmm.
sure. And then I don't know, I guess I do want to do the UK. I've had a lot of friends go there for wrestling,
Yeah.
and they've always come back with good things to say. So I think that would be really fun as well. But I think my priority is Canada, States, Japan.
There's already some acts in the States and the UK that I'm imagining you guys taking on, and I would just love for it to happen. Like, oh, it would be so much fun. And obviously, like you have friends like Charlie's, but they can give you some pointers. Charlie's been over to the UK. Obviously, Kingsley's navigating Canada right now. There's a lot of good friends in the States here. Obviously, if you come to the States, like let me know, please. Like I better
Oh,
know.
yes. Yes, you'll be the first to know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But Shay, before we let you go, please let the listeners know where they can find you online and support you.
So you can find me on Facebook at Shay Kassidy, on Twitter at Shay Kassidy Pro, TikTok Shay Kassidy Pro, and Instagram Shay Kassidy Pro.
Yeah. And don't forget to check out PWA King of the Metro coming up on Friday, June 27th. I believe it's starting at 8 p.m. local time there, Australia, but you can watch it on
Yes.
YouTube. That would be, I think, 6 a.m. Eastern time here, but you can always go back and watch it. I like watching it in the morning or the afternoon after here in the States. Don't forget that too. Shay and Everett Connors will be defending the PWA Tag Team Championships, and we'll have a new King of the Metro crowned. It could be Shay Kassidy herself. We don't know. There's a lot of surprise entrants not announced yet. Who knows? You could be Shay Two Belts in the near future. We'll see. Shay,
Got
thank
a
you
nice
so
ring
much
to
for joining. Exactly, Shay Two Belts. We're manifesting it. But first,
it.
obviously, got to get through this tag team championship match.
Yeah, yeah,
Shay,
one step at a time.
thank you so much for joining me here today. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much for having me.